Okay, thanks for being here. It was a good win, and I'll tell you what I liked about that win first is that I think we learned a couple weeks ago, and I don't want to get all philosophical or emotional or any of that, but so many of these kids have the dream of playing for UCLA in the Rose Bowl, and we can have a game like that and get the amount of kids that we did on the field playing football is awesome. Now, you know, I've been on the other side of games like that, and there's nothing worse than when it appears that opponents trying to run things up on you, and I just want to guarantee you we don't do that. But to see Sam Handler in there and to see Zach Hernandez catch a couple passes and to see Ahmad Harris, who's worked so selflessly, catch a couple passes, and to see Ryan Davis, who just busts his tail every single week, get to carry the football, you know, that's awesome stuff right there. And that's why these guys play. So there was no disrespect meant at all to New Mexico State for going fast at the end of the game. It was just a matter of wanting those kids that worked so hard to get a chance to play. I thought New Mexico State played their tails off, and I commend them for that. A couple things that we've obviously got to clean up. We have not had a turnover problem really this year. We threw three in the red zone, or we had three in the red zone. We've got to fix that. And then the penalties, obviously, we've got to fix that, and we will. We'll go back to work on that, and we'll get it fixed. But just great to see those guys get to go out on the field and play football for UCLA. It was, I don't know, it was great. So.
Questions?
Come on. Yes, sir.
What did you think of Brett's play today overall? It looked like he was a little shaky to start out with.
I agree with you. Yeah, I at one point kind of talked to him and said, Brett, just pull the trigger. You know, he looked a little hesitant, and we've got to move through that. I think it's time for him to move through that. And so, you know, he ended up with good numbers, but, you know, numbers aren't always the true story. And I would agree with you. I think he was a little bit shaky at times, but he's such a good player, and he's so composed and so mature that he can kind of get through that. But I'd like to see him just start a little bit more solid, you know. But that's nitpicking a little bit. But you're right.
Can you talk about bringing 10 guys out for the first play and kind of when that came about?
That was the player's idea and Noel's idea. You know, I don't ever think we can do enough to honor Nick Pasquale and his family. But that was just a small gesture. Shaq, we ran him off the field and we ran the ball with 10, and our 11th guy out there was Pac-Man, you know, and the players, they were fired up about doing that, you know, and I'm glad we did it.
Coach, you talked about coming out for this game really fired up, and you wanted everyone to go nuts for this game. It seems like there were a lot of huge hits in this game, you know, by your defense. You know, what was your assessment of how, you know, your defense played in this kind of atmosphere, and especially a Randall Goforth, who seemed like he really, you know, lit up the highlight reel? I'm
glad you recognized Randall, because he did. He played well. It might be the best game that he's played since he's been at UCLA, and he had some good, solid hits. I thought that we played well. Any time that they had the ball, we were aggressive. You know, we had some nice hits on kickoffs. We got after the quarterback pretty good. We had some good hits on runners, but that's what you're supposed to do. You know, you're supposed to go after it like that, and that's how we want to play. You know, physical, fair, tough.
Coach, going back to the Nebraska game, you guys scored 83 points in a row without your opponent scoring at all.
You'd be sitting up there figuring that stuff out.
Does that say more about your offense, you think, or your defense through these last 2 weeks?
I don't know. How many? 83 in a row?
83
I didn't know that.
to 0, and that's
I think it just says a lot about the team and the kind of young men we have on this football team. They work hard. They care about each other. They play hard. It's important to them. I don't know that it's the offense or the defense or the special teams. I think it's everybody that puts a jersey on, just playing with a lot of pride and a lot of class and trying to be the best they can.
With the way Malcolm has played in late game situations, do you think you're going to be able to start using him earlier on?
Jack, I like Malcolm a lot. Our problem is that Thiggy's coming back too. So we've got only one football, and we've got a lot of playmakers on offense. And I would like to see Malcolm get some carries earlier in the game, and we'll talk about that as a staff. I think that through the first 3 games, you know, I've been so proud of the way that he's played. You know, he went through a lot last year, and coming back and swallowing his pride the way that he did, and then performing how he has. I'm really proud of Malcolm, and we'll try to get him more carries.
Coach, over to your right. Stephen Manfro made some pretty big contributions early. How does he fit into all of this going forward with the team getting healthier, as you just said?
You know, he really ran hard. I mean, it looked like he just was really pounding it up in there. And Stephen was a little bit disappointed last week at Nebraska that he didn't get as many touches. But rather than express, you know, his disappointment by sulking, he really had a great week of practice. And then he came out tonight and played extremely well. And, you know, that's what you love to see. That, to me, defines his character. You know, rather than sulking and complaining, he just worked hard, you know, and it paid off tonight for him because he played very, very well.
Going forward,
I don't know. It's a great problem to have. It's a question I really don't know the answer to right now. I'm glad it's a question, I can tell you that. But I don't, and I'm glad I don't have the answer.
Can you go into what went on the penalty on you on the sideline, I think it was?
Yeah, I was upset about the call on Anthony Barr. And, yeah, I probably obviously I said something I shouldn't have. So I try not to be disrespectful to those guys. I think those guys work their tails off. I think that they do an outstanding job under very hard circumstances. It's been an emotional couple weeks. I think I let my emotions get the best of me there, and I shouldn't have. Not a very good example. But, yeah, officials, that's not an easy job, man. You know, we all stand back here and we criticize them, and I'm hard on them. And sometimes you're trying to jab them because you're trying to get something out of them during the game, you know. But I certainly don't like to do that.
Any other questions?
Okay, thanks, everybody.